Have you ever hit the late afternoon and just felt that awful, heavy, swollen, tired sensation in your lower legs? If you're over 60, I bet you've probably been told that this is, just a normal part of getting older. Well, welcome to this Xplainer. Today we're going to dig into the actual medical science behind that discomfort and, far more importantly, we're going to show you exactly how you can completely revitalize your leg circulation. Let's just dive right in. So a lot of people just assume that poor circulation is something you have to accept, kind of like gray hair or needing an extra cup of coffee in the morning. But ignoring this heavy, tired feeling, it's quietly stealing your independence, literally one afternoon at a time. So the big question is this really just inevitable aging? Well, as we're going to see today, the medical reality tells a completely different and, honestly, incredibly empowering story. Okay, here's the big secret. It's called the venous pump. There is this decades-old medical principle that's taught in standard orthopedic training. Basically, your calf muscles act like a literal second heart for your legs. Every single time those muscles contract, they physically help push blood back upward, right against the powerful force of gravity. So when your legs feel heavy and tired, it usually just means this second heart of yours has fallen asleep on the job and needs a wake-up call. We almost always assume that aching legs mean our actual heart or our arteries are failing us. But the medical reality is actually completely different. Surgeons explain that the real culprit is often just inactive calf muscles. When these lower leg muscles stop doing their everyday job, gravity wins, and blood simply pools right around your ankles. To fix this, we're going to follow a really logical, stress-free roadmap today. The second hard secret, phase 1, seated foundations, phase 2, transitioning to weight, phase 3, real-life application, and finally, the long-term impact. All right, let's start with part 1, the second heart secret and the science of circulation. Look at this 2021 study from the Journal of Applied Physiology. It completely proves this isn't just a nice theory. When older adults with circulation problems used targeted calf activation, and we're talking simple movements here, no intense gym workouts, they saw significantly improved venous blood return in just a matter of weeks. So what's the big takeaway for us? Simple, targeted repetition easily beats out intense, sweaty workouts when it comes to fixing your circulation. Moving right along to phase 1, seated foundations. Waking up and oiling the joints. All right, for exercise 5, our gentle seated calf activation, you're just going to sit tall in a sturdy chair. Keep those feet flat on the floor. Now slowly lift your heels as high as is comfortable. Pause for just a beat at the top and then lower them back down with absolute control. This exact movement right here, it's a very starting point that many surgeons recommend for their older patients complaining of heavy legs. It directly targets that venous pump we talked about, sending a crystal clear signal to push that blood flow, all while you're perfectly safe and seated. Now, before you start repping 100 of these out, let's talk about a few really common mistakes. First off, this isn't a race. There are no medals for speed here, okay? Rushing or bouncing completely kills the benefit. Also, make sure you aren't holding your breath, because that can actually make you feel a bit lightheaded. And try not to tense up your shoulders and upper body. Slow, gentle, controlled repetitions, that's exactly what your veins need to coax that blood upward. Let's step it up to exercise 4, which builds into a concept I like to call oiling the hinges. While you're still seated, just smoothly slide one foot backward to bend the knee, and then gently slide it forward again. As a little bonus, lift that foot slightly and draw some slow, really wide circles with your toes. I love this visual metaphor. Think of it like you're smoothly oiling a rusty door hinge. Your ankles are the lowest major joint in your whole body, and keeping them moving is what stops fluid from just pooling at the very bottom. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Guidance from the Cleveland Clinic highlights that gentle, repeated joint movement directly improves venous return and cuts down on stiffness. The American Heart Association has noted similar findings too. Even these incredibly subtle, seated movements create powerful circulation benefits, which is fantastic for long car rides or when you're just relaxing and watching TV. Okay, on to phase 2, transitioning to weight, sharing the load. We are up on our feet for exercise 3, the supported standing weight shift. Stand right behind that sturdy chair with your hands resting lightly on the back of it for support. Now, gently shift your weight onto one leg, really feeling that pressure. Then, slowly return to the center and ease over to the other side. Notice we aren't lifting our feet off the ground here. It's a very subtle pendulum-like motion. What we're doing is boosting your neuromuscular coordination without the stress of doing a traditional balance test. You're just calmly teaching your hips and legs how to securely share the load again. As you practice this one, keep an eye out for a couple of pitfalls. The absolute most common mistake is locking your knees tight. Keep them nice and soft. Also, try to avoid leaning your whole upper body too far sideways or, jerking around with unpredictable speed. The goal here is quiet, calm control. It's all about that smooth, predictable transfer of weight, which, by the way, is the exact foundation you need for safe walking. To back this up, the Mayo Clinic actually points out that these supported standing movements improve lower limb circulation and neuromuscular coordination in older adults. That rhythmic muscle contraction that happens when you just gently shift your weight and encourages incredibly robust blood flow, and it does it completely bypassing the exhaustion of a full workout routine. Let's move into phase 3, real-life application, mastering daily independence. All right, exercise 2, the chair-assisted sit-to-stand. Sit with your feet slightly behind your knees and lean forward a bit. Now take 3 full seconds to slowly rise up to a standing position, pause at the top, and then take another 3 full seconds to sit back down with calm control. The absolute secret sauce here is doing this agonizingly slowly. It builds massive functional strength and just forcefully pushes that blood upward as your thighs, hips, and calves all contract together. Now, I know this is a challenging movement, but it is absolutely vital. Harvard Health Publishing confirms that sit-to-stand movements heavily improve lower body muscle activation and support venous blood flow. When this coordinated movement gets tough, we naturally tend to avoid it, right? But that only makes the weakness worse. Practicing this slowly and safely is absolutely critical for holding on to your overall independence. And here we are, the grand finale. Exercise 1, the controlled heel to stand flow. This is basically the ultimate exercise recommended by clinicians. Stand tall with light support and slowly lift your heels. Lower them back down and then bend your knees slightly, almost as if you're just starting to sit. Then straighten right back up to a relaxed, tall stance. It's the whole shebang. It brilliantly combines calf activation, weight transfer, and standing strength into one beautiful continuous motion. In fact, the National Institutes of Health highlights that this kind of combined muscle activation is incredibly effective for your real-world functional mobility. Now, before you take on the world with these real-life applications, be really careful of a few pitfalls. Do not just drop quickly back into your chair. Doing that totally erases the muscular benefit. And on that final exercise, don't turn that slight little knee bend into a deep gym squat. Listen to your body. You should never push yourself to the point of strain. Steady, unhurried, gentle sequences, that is exactly what your body recognizes, and it's what it craves to safely push that blood right back up to your heart. Finally, Section 5, the long-term impact. Reclaiming your mobility. So what happens when you actually follow this roadmap? Well, the benefits compound over time. You're going to notice your legs feeling significantly lighter and a whole lot less tight. Sitting for long stretches actually becomes comfortable again. Walking, shifting your weight, it all feels so much more reliable. But most importantly, it preserves your independence and drastically reduces that lingering fear of falling. Think about it. Confidently walking through the park with your grandkids, or just enjoying time in your own home without constantly worrying that your legs are going to quit on you. Remember, aging does not mean you have to give up control. It just means choosing movements that respect exactly where your body is today. So, I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. Are you going to let aging dictate your mobility, or are you going to choose to wake up that second heart of yours today? Go ahead and take that first gentle step toward autonomy. Thank you so much for joining me on this Xplainer, and here is to living life strictly on your own terms.